I would like to introduce Brie Hanni. She's a mother of 2 school-age daughters, former middle school teacher, homeschool tutor for the last 3 years with classical conversations. She re-enrolled her younger daughter in public school this year and quickly realized, although the schools and the teachers were the same, the experience was dramatically different. Brie Hanni, here you go. Thank you. Okay, hello. I'm most nervous about getting as much in 10 minutes as possible. I am going to start. First off, let me thank you all for coming here tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here, to listen to these messages that so desperately need to be heard. It's such an honor to stand with all of these women. And great to hear from our last speaker. Where are you? Not the last speaker. Don't know where she went. Thank you, Yvette, so much for hosting this. Thank you for all the people who brought us together. Thank you for the delicious food, too, and the great bar service. Okay, so I want to start with solutions because we've heard so much of the ugliness. It makes me want to cry and vomit, so I'm sure you feel that way, too. Let's start with some of the solutions, and then I'll get into more of the ugliness. Okay, first and foremost, we've got to talk to our children. We've got to be ideally the first person they hear from, and they've got to hear from us continuously. We need to be their tour guide to bring them through this crazy world that we live in. So talk till you're blue in the face and they can't stand it anymore, and then keep talking. We've got to teach our children at home. That does not mean we all need to homeschool, but we teach our children our values at home. We teach them what we think is important. Learn about American history, learn about the Constitution from the point of view of the framers, right? Teach what's important to you at home. You can do this at the breakfast table, at the dinner table, right before bed. You can do it every day. We can build up our children quite a lot this way. It's extremely powerful not to be overlooked. You've got to prioritize family time. I think I said that though. On the schools, a beautiful option is to opt out. There's a good amount that we can opt out of. We can opt out of the social emotional learning surveys. So California in particular is bragging about the data collection they're doing of our students from well, they say cradle to career, so kinder through 12. They're asking our students all kinds of questions, asking parents as well. They have nothing to do with academics and all to do with social and emotional health. So you can opt your child out of that. There's no reason for the state to collect that information. You can also opt your child out of any visits with any school counselors without your prior written consent. You can opt them out of comprehensive sex education and do your best to opt them out of gender talk. You can thereby remove your child, remove your family from being a cog in a system, moving it forward. You can throw sand in the gears that way. And that's what you're doing also by having these conversations at home with your child as often as possible. When you're reaching out, trying to get information from the teacher or principal, superintendent, school board, it's great to be very clear and very concise and ask 1 to 2 questions at a time, and then be consistent and have a presence and be in their face, be annoying to them. To again throw sand in the gears, which basically buys us time to bring more awareness and more work, like Erin's 8 bills that she has to try to help fight after this. So it buys us time to throw sand in the gears. That comes from James Lindsay. He's an incredible person. I'm learning a ton from him. I recommend James Lindsay, New Discourses. Okay. When you find that you're not getting information, because you'll find that you're not getting any information, then you can submit a FOIA request, the Freedom of Information Act. There's several hoops to jump through as well, but we are obligated to receive this information from our schools. So when you come up against a wall, submit a FOIA request, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. You've got to read it. First of all, can you just clap if you have school-age children also right now? Gotta read everything, absolutely everything that is sent home with a fine-tooth comb. You gotta scour the school website, the district website, And Aaron Friday will recommend that you read every assigned book of your child's, and preferably before they read it. I want to reiterate the power of conversations, this is wonderful and an opportunity to learn a lot, and I want you all, I hope you all take one or two ideas home with you today. To have that conversation at home with your family, to have conversations with your friends, with your neighbors, because there's tremendous power in those conversations that we have one-on-one. There are about 100 of us, well, let's just say 100. Math is my weaker area. Let's say there's 100 of us, and we each have 1 to 2 conversations. That's extremely powerful. So don't forget the power of our talks. Okay, 5 minutes in, on to more ugly. Okay, so I became aware of what's happening in our public schools just recently as of October. So I homeschooled our 2 daughters with classical conversations for 2 years. My younger daughter is extremely social. We returned her to the same school, to the same teacher from before the school closures. And as the introduction said, found it to be a very different experience. The report card itself was extremely different from before COVID, after COVID. So I was reading the school newsletter in October. In the school newsletter, I read that members of the GSA Club, Gender Sexuality Alliance Club, the middle schoolers, read a gender fluid book to the 3rd grade classes at large. So I was curious. I found the book at Kepler's. I took pictures of all of the pages. And the pages said things like, it's fun to be a girl in the morning and a boy in the afternoon. Only you can decide. And who decided there should be words like boy and girl anyway? And I'm a girl, I know I'm a girl, because I feel like one, even though they thought I was a boy when I was born. So those are some of the pages from that book. And that's not an isolated event. That's not just one event to celebrate differences, as I was told. It's part of an intricate web. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of books with the same message filling our classroom libraries and school libraries. So one way that kids are hearing this message is from the books. There's also all the pronouns. They're exposed frequently to declaring their pronouns, which is the first step to social transitioning. So if your child is asked for their pronouns, the best answer to give is, I am a girl, or I am a boy, and that's it. They see the Pride Progress flag everywhere they go. It's outside every single classroom. It's in classrooms, it's in the school office. It's hanging at the front of the school on a flagpole, perhaps. It's just in their face. You can see on your table and behind me, we have these cartoon ideas of the gender-bred person and the gender unicorn, which is doing its best to show that gender is socially constructed. There's nothing to do with biology, with gender. Another way of getting in their head. Okay, again, chipping away at the notion of their identity is this wheel of power and privilege, where again, kids will either come away feeling like they are the oppressor or they're the victim. So, chipping away at their identity, oh gosh, time check. Okay, 2 minutes. So it's incredibly important that as parents, we tell our children who they are, who their identity is. And this gender expression is nothing other than personality. It's just personality expression. That's all it is. So we've got to do our job to build up their identity, who they are. I would encourage us all to avoid using correct people when you hear sex assigned at birth. That it's observed, not assigned. And please reject this cisgender notion. It's got really ugly origins. Okay, so social emotional learning. Captain Obvious here. When you put something into the instructional time, if you're not lengthening the day, you've got to take something out. And what are they taking out? Academics. So my daughter had no science grade for the entire first trimester because they simply didn't get to science, but they did get to all the social emotional learning activities, the community builder, the processing journals, all of that. What's another? Thank you so much. So, social emotional learning is embraced by the UN, by UNESCO, by International Planned Parenthood Federation. All of those entities believe that sexual rights are a human right no matter your age, which means they believe that children have sexual rights, which is why we have this horrific CSE, I just forget the new sex ed term, comprehensive sexual education. That's why we have such horrific things there, because they believe fundamentally that children have sexual rights.
Where did that come from?
That's a longer talk, and maybe in the Q&A. I'm not sure I can answer it right now. 30 seconds. All right. So, thanks again for coming. I really encourage you to have as many conversations as you can in the next, just moving forward. Have as many conversations as you can to spread truth. And know that you have this beautiful God-given role of being a parent, and you are totally equipped to raise that child from all the hell they're going to put us through. This is just one aspect, right, of the difficult task of raising humanity.
Hey, how about a round of applause for all our speakers tonight? Big round. Thank you so much for taking time to be here. Our hostess Yvette is going around gathering cards for the Q&A. So our speakers, how are we going to do that? They're going to